Hello there, my name is Gillie and welcome to this yoga practice. Today we'll be focusing on a nice deep stretch for your legs and hips and lower back for after you've been running or doing some leg intensive workout. This video was kindly requested by Rebecca, aka @RebeccaFit. Do check out her epic Instagram. And if you like this video, please hit subscribe and send me a message with any videos or practices that you'd like to see on my channel. Let's grab a mat, couple of blocks, or maybe a chair if you don't have any, a strap, or maybe a towel if you don't have a strap, and we'll get started with this practice. Let's start in downward facing dog. So just finding the right distance by starting in plank pose and then lifting the hips back. Or maybe if you're very used to running, perhaps your heels aren't going to come anywhere near the ground, that's fine. Give your legs a pedal. You can already start to stretch out the back of the legs here, stretch the spine. Nice deep breaths. Press into the fingers, squeeze the upper arms to round the upper back. Let the head and the neck relax. You can even soften through the jaw. Let's lift the heels up really nice and high. See if you can lengthen through the spine. Keep the ribs pulling in as you send the hips back. And then see if we can lower the heels down towards the floor. Let's bend the left leg and keep the right leg straight. It might be easier now to straighten that leg out with one leg very bent. Just let this left leg relax and let that stretch radiate right up the hip, right up to the back of the glutes. You can always step the hands a bit closer if it feels a bit more comfortable, but we'll hang out here in this one for 3 more breaths. Deeply inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's gently just change sides. Straighten the left leg, let the right leg relax. See if you can keep tilting the pelvis up towards the sky, lengthening the spine. Again, maybe if it's tighter on this side, you might need to adjust the hands. Find what's comfortable for you and let that stretch just happen. Just finishing the last couple of breaths. And then we'll straighten both legs. Stepping the left foot forward, we'll come down into a lunge now. So your fingertips might touch easily to the floor, or maybe you want to grab a couple of blocks here. You can make them as high or as low as you like. There's no pressure at all. The back knee can slide back as far or as close as you like. You're the one in charge. You can feel the stretch. Or just let the hips drop towards the floor as we lift the chest. Nice deep breaths. So very important to, when we're stretching the psoas, iliop psoas, it's much easier to get into it if you do it one side at a time than if you do it double side. So these lunges are really important. And if you know you have a particularly tight psoas, see if you can get that posterior pelvic rotation. So the pelvis being like a bowl. Send the top part back and the front part forward. You're really going to feel that stretch in the iliacus and the psoas there. So let that just radiate and enjoy it. Good. 2 more deep breaths. Yeah, feels good. Let's send the hips back slightly now. We'll walk the blocks or the hands to the inside of the foot and just let that left foot open out towards the side of the mat. You might not need the blocks here. You can come down onto your elbows, maybe onto the blocks, or maybe right down onto the floor. Now, if that feels good and you want to go a little bit deeper, you can lift the back knee and wiggle that foot just a little bit further away. Now, this one should feel really nice too. So perhaps yours looks a little bit higher, maybe you're still on the hands, that's fine as well. Let's take a couple more deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling, inhaling and exhaling. Again, your back knee might still be down if this is too intense. Last breath. And exhale. Let's lower the back knee down now. We'll come back onto the hands or back up to the blocks. Walk that foot back into the center if you released it. We'll make sure we're on the top of the back thigh. Let's turn around and reach for that back foot. Now, if it's very hard to reach onto that back foot, or if it feels very far away, you can use a strap or a towel to make it a little bit more accessible. So see what works for you. Now back your hips up, send that heel and hip towards each other. Then we'll try and drop the hips forward. Good. Depending on how open the shoulders are, you might want to roll the shoulders towards the front, or you can keep twisting. Let's just focus on the quadricep stretch, so it's lengthening the front side of the right thigh. God, it's beautiful sunshine today. Here in Hong Kong, we're making the most of this spring weather before their evil summer arrives. Let me know what the weather's like where you are right now when you're watching this. 2 more breaths. Drop the hips, pull that heel closer towards the butt cheeks. And then release the back foot, hands back to the blocks or the floor. Let's pull the hips back now, lifting the left toes up, coming into our half split, our Hanumanasana. We'll keep a really nice flex in the heel. This means we've got a full extension in the Achilles, calf, hamstrings. Pull that left hip crease back to drag that left heel towards you. Now it might be good just to stay here, you might be much higher. Remember, we're keeping the chest open so we hinge and stretch from the hips, not rounding the spine. Now if there's more, you can go even deeper. You might want to lay the tummy down towards the thigh and bring the chin towards the shin, but just find your depth of the stretch. Let's take 4 more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in, breathing out. Now really straighten that leg, press the quadricep down. Good. For the last moment in this pose, we'll just work on turning the toes out slightly. So the peroneus, gastrocnemius and soleus, the muscles in the calf, the gastrocnemius has 2 heads at the top, so it splits. So just by taking this action of turning the toes out to the side, we're making sure we get a full stretch through the head of that muscle. Then we can turn it slightly inward and make sure we get that inside as well. One side might be tighter than the other for you, so just make an observation. If it's super tight on one side, you might want to put that into your stretch routine even more. Let's bring it back to center. Walk the blocks or the hands forward. Let's step it back for downward facing dog. Give the legs a pedal. If you're tired after that one, it might be child's pose, taking a rest, or you can stay in your downward dog. Let's take 3 nice deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's go for that same sequence on the other side. So right foot forward, coming into our lunge. Hands could be on blocks, higher or lower, or maybe even on the floor. Again, you can choose how far away that back knee is. You know where you're getting the most beneficial stretch for you. This one's slightly more focusing on that iliacus and psoas major and minor. So that pelvic tilt. Top of the pelvis moves back and the bottom moves forward. You might be able to get this with a deeper stretch, hips sinking lower. Just see how it feels. And just be really conscious and aware of the breath when you're doing these deep stretches. Your breath will always tell you when it's too much, you've come too far, or maybe when you've not gone far enough, if breathing comes really easily. See if you can relax. Just keep dropping the hips. Over time, maybe you'll find a bit more depth in the pose. Let's take 3 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. I just thought I saw a parrot. We do get parrots flying around here, so if you're lucky one day I might catch it on camera. Last breath. And then we'll lift slightly just to bring the hands to the inside, maybe walking that right foot a little bit wider. Again, if it's really tight, you can lift the inside edge of the foot. You might come down now onto elbows or right the way down to the floor. You can lift the back knee and send that back leg a little bit further away for gecko pose. Keep lifting the upper back of the head if you want to get neck strengthening. You can always rest the forehead if you'd like to. So just working a little bit deeper through that stretch. Let's take a couple more breaths. You're constantly monitoring the breath and the depth of the stretch. Last deep inhale. And lower the back knee down. Let's come back up onto the hands now. Walk that foot in just a little bit closer. We can anchor the right hand, block or on the floor, bend the left knee and reach behind for that quad stretch again. So maybe we keep the chest a little bit open. We can back the hips up towards the heel and then drop them forward. And so a lot through that vastus group of muscles now, the quadriceps on the front of the thigh. You can keep the chest lifting or fold a little. See what feels most comfortable. That pelvic tilt can be very useful here for increasing the stretch. Let's take 3 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's slowly start to release that back foot now. Holding onto the blocks or the ground, walk them back. Lift the right toes up. Maybe extend the foot a little further forward so the hips can stay on top of the knees. Coming in for our half split, our Hanumanasana. Foot is in full extension. Leg is fully extended with the quadriceps pressing down. Pulling that right hip crease back, keeping the chest open. And if you want to go deeper, you can fold chin towards the shin, or we stay a little bit higher, shoulders stay back. Should be feeling that right down the back of the calves and the hamstrings. Yeah, if you can slightly roll the outer foot back as well, that will help intensify that stretch. Let's take 4 more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in. And breathing out. Breathing in. Breathing out. Breathing in. And breathing out. Let's walk the hands forward. Move the blocks. We'll step it back for downward facing dog. 5 nice deep breaths. Let's gently bring the knees down to the mat now. Holding on to a cushion or a couple of blocks, we're just going to elevate the knees to stretch the front of the calves, so front of the shins. So we lift up the knees and place them onto the edge of the block. This might be a lot on the top of the feet, you can always lower it down. If you don't want to use a block at all, you could just work on lifting and feeling that stretch. So see where you can get to. And we'll sit up nice and tall, relax the shoulders. Any of your favorite shoulder stretches you can throw in here while we're letting the tops of the feet stretch. Maybe palms together, chest opening. Oh, I feel like I'm sunbathing now. I just need a cocktail in a swimming pool. Let's take 3 more breaths. You can close the eyes, focus on the breath, focus on trying to relax the lower body. And then gently lift the knees, move the block. Walking forward onto your table pose, give the ankles a really nice circle now, one at a time or both together. And let's turn to face the long side of the mat. So working now a little through the calves. We did this one a couple of weeks ago in my video for yoga for ankles. That might be a good one to add to your post-exercise playlist. We'll repeat it again now because it's excellent for the Achilles and the calf muscles. So starting in a kneeling position, we'll extend one leg out to the side as if we're coming into our squat pose. Yogi Squat pose, Malasana. Spin the chest, sternum towards the knee, and then start to take the weight forward. Now in this one, we might want to leave the heel down on the floor. In the ankle video, we lifted it a little bit higher. just find what works for you. When you get the right amount of weight distribution onto that leg, you'll feel the stretch in the back of your ankle and calf. Just be gentle with this one, don't force it. We'll stay for a few breaths. It can be quite intense. There could be movement side to side, forward and back. Yeah, hands could be on blocks to support you or on the ground. And then we'll gently release and we'll just switch sides. So one comes back into a kneeling position, the other leg into a squat. Twist the chest towards the knee and start to take the weight forward. Heel might stay on the ground or it might slightly lift. Just test what works for you. Couple of breaths just to really feel that stretch move down the back of the calf, back of the Achilles. If any of these stretches feel really good and you want to stay a little bit longer, just hit pause. It's totally up to you. That is the beauty of YouTube yoga. Last breath. And then we'll release and we'll step back for downward facing dog. Stepping the left foot forward now to about the middle of the mat. Blocks or a chair can be very useful here. We'll spin the back heel in like we were going to do warrior one. So heel to heel alignment. Lift the chest. Pull the left hip crease back so both hips are pointing towards the top of the mat. Lengthen through the spine, kind of like our half split pose. And then we'll press the chest forward. Now if you can get really low, hands on the blocks, hands on the floor, maybe laying the whole of the front of the body down that leg. If you're an epic runner, you might have very tight hamstrings. Staying up here on the blocks might feel already pretty intense. So let's just stay for a moment. We'll enjoy that. Keep squaring the hips. Work with the legs. So squeezing and scissoring the legs towards each other can feel really good. Good. Last two breaths. Let's step the right foot forward, the left foot back, turn the heel in. We'll come into pyramid pose again. If we need to work on squaring the hips, lengthening both sides of the ribs, maybe lifting the chest halfway, maybe folding deeper or bringing hands to the floor, whatever feels right for you. Hips could move side to side, but keep pulling that right hip crease back, squeezing through the feet. A few nice deep breaths. Then we'll move the blocks out of the way, bring the hands to the floor. Let's step back for downward facing dog. Yeah, moving to up the leg into the hips now. Let's come into pigeon pose, but a little bit of a variation. So sweeping the left foot forward, instead of bringing it across, I want you to bring the blade of your foot to the middle of the mat. Lower the back knee and start to move it back. Now it's probably unlikely you'll get the knee all the way down to the floor, maybe you will. So we're just going to find a bit of movement side to start to get into that hip a little bit more. If there's any sensitivity on that back knee, just put a bit of a cushion, also a towel underneath. So we're using the hands to support us in this action. Just opening up the hip a little bit wider than regular pigeon pose. When we spent a couple of moments there, then we can slide that foot right over. We're aiming to get the shin parallel with the top of the mat. If it doesn't come there, you can move the foot a little lower, but let's keep on the outside blade of the foot. You can always put a block underneath the hips if you can't bring it flat to the floor. So just come to your variation. Now just checking that that back leg is moving straight back out from the hip. You can release the toes and then square the hips and the chest forward. Maybe you're comfortable staying here. If you want to bring elbows to the blocks, or my advice will be to come onto the fingertips and walk the fingertips as far away as possible. So you're trying to lay your whole of your tummy and your chest down. This is going to make that really intense. Ah, this one feels so good. So let's just stay here for a little bit longer. Trying not to make this practice too intense, because if you are practicing after some epic exercise, you're probably feeling like you deserve a bit more of a rest. So we're just coming down to the floor now and relaxing a little bit. You might want to rest the forehead. or maybe even rest all the way down. Let's take 5 deep breaths together, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. 2 more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in, fill the lungs completely and soften and deepen into this pose as you exhale. Lifting the chest gently, hands under the shoulders. Let's tuck the back toes up, lift the hips, step it back for downward dog. It might be child's pose or table pose, so we can pedal and wiggle the legs. Let's go for the other side. So remember, the first part, we bring the blade of the foot to the inside. Back knee can drop down, and we'll just find that side to side action to open the hip a little bit deeper. Weight can be in the hands or blocks if the floor feels far away. Once we've really opened out some space, we can walk the foot all the way over to the other side of the mat, remembering that you can move that ankle down or place a block underneath the pelvis, underneath the glutes on the right side as you come down, making sure that back leg is shooting straight out from the hip. Release the toes. If you can, lengthening the fingertips forward so you can lie flat, or staying on the elbows, elbows on a block, you can rest the forehead. Whichever version feels nice for you. Pulling the right hip crease back or pressing down through the shin to intensify if you need to. Otherwise, just relaxing. If you've just done a really big workout, you probably deserve a rest. Let's take 5 breaths together, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's take a deep breath in. Let's go one more big breath in. Exhale to relax and soften here. And then we'll lift the forehead, hands underneath, tuck the back toes, lift and squeeze, and you can pedal. Maybe it's table pose, some cat-cows. Let's just see what feels nice. And we'll move back into downward facing dog. Again, it might be movement or stretch, just noticing how different your downward dog might feel now after we've done all of that opening. Let's take 5 deep breaths, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Last 2 breaths, then we get to lie down on the ground. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's gently lower the knees down to the mat. And we'll swing it around so we can lie down on the ground. Oh, how nice does that feel? Moving the knees from side to side. Let's grab hold of our towel or our strap now. And just hook it inside the backs of your big toe ball mount. So not right on the toes, but also not in the middle of the foot. If you can bring it near the top, that means it'll help to extend, flex the ankle joint a lot more. Now you can keep the shoulders on the ground. No need to be lifting up and holding. Relax the neck, head. The right leg could stay bent, or you can straighten it for a bit more intensity. See what is most appropriate. No problem at all with keeping it bent like me, or you can straighten it. Now press the thigh away from you to extend the leg, and just bend the elbows slightly by the ribs to find that deeper stretch. The outer left hip can move away from you. That just ensures we're catching all the muscles in the back of the leg. Don't worry, we'll get the other ones later. So pressing the leg straight, pressing up into the strap, keeping the shoulders soft, and just maybe gentle work in the biceps. Oh, any muscles in the face or the jaw, you can enjoy a relax and a stretch now. Let's take 3 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Let's take the strap into the left hand only now. Again, keeping the right leg bent or straightening out, seeing what feels right for you. Let's open that leg out to the side. So elbow can rest on the floor. You can keep pulling on that strap to get more of a stretch. Opening now, muscles on the inner thigh, adductor muscles, the gracilis muscle, and the sartorius, that longest muscle in the body. You can keep pushing out through that inner edge of the foot into the strap. See how it feels with this leg. If this right leg is straight, use that anchoring of the right side of the hip to keep the body level on the ground rather than lifting the right hip, so everything is flat on the ground. Let's take 2 more breaths here. Use that arm to squeeze and enjoy that deeper stretch. Then we'll pull the navel down towards the spine, so if we can use the core muscles to bring that leg back to the top, swap hands with the strap, and we'll pull it all the way over to the side. Now if you're cowering in the shade like I am, you might need to shift over a little bit so you've got a little bit more space. Keep that left shoulder anchored on the floor as you send the leg over. Oh, actually now my leg can rest on the wall, which feels rather nice. If not, you might want to keep using that right arm strong in the strap to pull and stretch that foot back. Make sure you keep lengthening that outer left hip away from you. It will feel really juicy right now. 3 more breaths, inhaling and exhaling. As I said, this could be a towel instead of a strap. Breathing in and breathing out, or if you're super flexy, you might be able to just hold the foot. Last breath, then tummy pulls in. We'll bring that leg back to the top. Let's take both feet into the strap, back to the big toe ball mounds. Take a moment, push the outer hips away and pull the feet towards you as you send the quadriceps away. One side, left side now is probably going to feel a lot more open. Let's move the left leg out the way, right foot, remember, not right on the toes and not on the back, so we've got a full extension in the Achilles. Left knee could stay bent, or you can straighten it. Let's go for that deep stretch first in the back of the leg. Outer right hip moves away, so long right side of the waist and rib cage. Shoulders relaxing, face, jaw, head relaxing. Just the biceps working slightly and the quadriceps pressing the thigh away from the tummy. 3 more breaths. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Breathing in and breathing out. Let's take the strap into the right hand only. Open up that leg to the side again. Left hip can be anchored, leg straight or leg bent. Use that right arm to pull and open the leg to the side. I'm getting an easy ride with this wall today. But it's just so hot up here and I'm so pale. Yeah, people always ask me why I don't have a tan, because I lived in hot countries, but that's because I like to hide in the shade. It's much better for your skin, people. But I get sunbathing. A tan also looks really good, just not on me. Let's pull the tummy down towards the spine. We'll bring that leg back to the top and change hands, holding the strap in the left hand. Again, you can straighten the leg or keep it bent. Just see what feels good. See if you can keep the right shoulder anchored towards the floor. Outer right hip moving away, so that's going to put more pressure into the strap. The bicep can work a little bit more to hold it in place. 3 nice deep breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in and breathing out. Pull the tummy in. Let's bring that leg back to the top. One more time, both feet into the strap. Hopefully we'll have a little bit of equality now in both sides. Push the outer hips away, thighs away as you pull the strap, the shins and the toes towards you. So keeping the sacrum and the tailbone firmly on the floor. A little bit more of a hip stretch than maybe you're feeling in the backs of the legs, or if you're tight there, it will probably feel like both. 3 more breaths. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing in. Breathing out. Last breath. Fill the lungs. Push the thighs away. Push the tailbone down. And hug the knees into the chest. The strap you can move off to the side. Moving side to side, or taking the knees in circles. Give the lower back a little bit of a massage on the floor. It doesn't have to look like what I'm doing, whatever feels nice. It could be alternate circles, moving the legs apart or keeping them together. And then the last pose, just opening out the hip flexors slightly. So grabbing hold of 1 block or 2 blocks. Lifting the hips and placing it underneath the sacrum. This might be enough, just 1 here. A lot of people I see like to rest with the Hanumanasana legs, or you can straighten out the legs. You might want to lift up and pop 2 blocks underneath. If you've got anything else, might feel nice. Again, you can move the legs side to side or straighten the legs. This might be just a moment in the practice for you to move through any stretches that feel good for you. If you didn't feel like you got enough of the quads, you could reach for a foot, see if you can go for a singular quad stretch. If it feels good, you can go for the double one, or just take it in turns. Just take a moment now. I'm just going to hang out here, drape myself over this block. Here we're getting a nice stretch through the abdominals as well. Yeah, rolling the head side to side on the floor also feels good. Taking a moment to hydrate maybe after your exercise. And then we'll plant the feet on the floor. We'll lift the hips, move the blocks out of the way, and find Shavasana. So legs a little bit wider than the hips, arms wider than the shoulders, palms facing up, head totally relaxed. Well done. If you are doing this post-workout, well done on the workout and well done on the stretch. So many times I hear people not stretching after exercise, and we know how important it is. So thank you for taking part in this video. Now you get the reward of just total relaxation. Soften the face, the head, the shoulders. Relax your arms and hands. Soften the body, the legs, all the way down to the toes. Take a nice deep breath in, fill the lungs completely. And feel your whole body relax to an even deeper level as you exhale. Head all the way down to toes. I'll stay for about 10 breaths. If you want to hit pause or stay a little bit longer, then feel free to do that now. Enjoy some time to yourself just to rest. Take a deeper breath in. Feeling the body again and relaxing as you exhale. Slowly move fingers, toes. Another big breath in, stretch the arms overhead. Hugging the knees to the chest. You can roll to the side and hang out there for a moment, or work your way slowly back into a seated position. Now you might sit kneeling or cross-legged. Let's just take a moment to sit, relax the shoulders, close the eyes, just acknowledging the work, the surrender, the patience it takes to get into some of these stretches. Let's take a nice deep breath in and let it go as you exhale. Thank you so much for practicing. Namaste. Thank you for joining me in this video. Thank you to Rebecca again for requesting it. Please get in touch with your requests and please subscribe to my channel. Have a wonderful day and I hope to see you here again soon. Namaste.